p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
Good evening, I'm Stephen Semanas, your host of Your Voice with the NRP. We certainly crave your understanding in the late start to our program tonight for Monday, July 18, 2022. Our guest was unavoidably delayed. She is leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. She has had an extremely busy day and really wanted to be here at 8:30, but she got held up. But now she is with us and live. She will make an address to the nation. Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Manners, and my apologies for the delay. Of course, we would have witnessed the bell that was rung last night, and I got to my office, to our headquarters this morning, and it has been non-stop traffic all day, and I take that as an indication of the number of persons who have an interest in the Nevis Reformation Party and our plans for the future, and I'm really excited about what would have transpired today. Let me take a moment to say good evening to those listening here in Nevis and abroad, and I would get right into it. And so I would just like to say to my fellow citizens and residents, I address you tonight as leader of the Nevis Reformation Party and candidate for Nevis 11 in the upcoming federal elections to be held August 5th, 2022. The future of the people of Nevis must be located within a reimagined space where the people of Nevis come first, not the personal interest of elected officials. The people of Nevis will always be the first priority for the Nevis Reformation Party. August 5th signals a call across the Federation for eligible voters to exercise their rights and put Nevis back on a path of prosperity. The NRP will be fielding 2 female candidates and 1 male candidate in these federal elections. This represents a slate of 66% women. All political parties in the Federation for this upcoming election has at least 1 female candidate, except the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, which has not offered a female candidate a space at their table so that they may incorporate the perspectives of women in their decision making. The NRP is therefore in a unique position as a political party driven by passion to serve. The landscape of our beautiful island Nevis has been negatively impacted under CCM's rule. The $6 million pier at Orly is unfinished and remains an ugly reminder of the fact that CCM has failed this country and robbed us of the pride that we developed as citizens and residents of Nevis. This port of entry, coupled with the airport, reflects the failed efforts of the CCM. How can we not have passenger planes landing at our airport on a scheduled basis? I therefore call on the people of Nevis to respond on election day to save the soul of Nevis. The soul of Nevis is crying, and we need to pacify our country. This election is about the future of our island, Nevis, and there are no blurred lines regarding the failings of the Mark Brantley-led administration. Regarding the governance of our island, the handling of our economy, and the degradation of our society, the CCM has received a failing grade. The CCM government must answer for charges against the people of Nevis. The restoration of governance, our economy, and society must be a task that involves all. We must fix our island. We must fix the problems. We must vote against the party of smear, and we must vote against the Concerned Citizens Movement. 2 years ago, the government was given a mandate to govern. 2 years later, we see the federal MPs sign off on a no-confidence motion to remove the very government that they formed. How does a party in government vote against itself? The decision is clear. Let's join them and demonstrate that as a voter, we have no confidence in them. The decision had nothing to do with how we felt as a people, but rather the egos of a few men disrupting the political landscape of our land. With regards to governance, the essential pillar of accountability and transparency have been trampled upon. The CCM administration finds comfort in hiding secret deals, CBI deals in particular, that benefit the individual and then try to excuse this conduct. The facts are clear. The CCM administration attempted to cover up the $120 million Brantley brand secret deal. We must ask why high-ranking officials of the CCM are earning tax-paying dollars for rentals at the unfinished stadium where children and patrons are at the mercies of the elements up to this day. Additionally, the CCM government has failed to grow our economy or stimulate jobs for our people. Instead, they pile on a suite of taxes that go unaccounted as the nation remains a failed state. The Mondo track, our horse race track, and our drag racing strips can provide direct and indirect jobs. The virtual stagnation of the construction sector, where skilled tradesmen and laborers can earn weekly wages, are but a thing of the past. There is no job creation strategy in place by CCM. Instead, what we hear are attacks and attempts to smear characters. The CCM government failed to strengthen our social safety net for our poor and vulnerable, and we have seen our people falling through the cracks. The inability to prioritize health and complete the hospital after 7 years is the signature of the CCM administration. The Brantley-led administration has loitered on the corridors of Parliament, and they should refund the people of Nevis the monies that have been paid to them. Our education system remains broken and underperforming as our children lack the required devices. They all received a salary in Nevis and a salary in Sinkis, yet they have not performed. Years later, our fisher folks are no better off. When these issues of governance, economy, and society are raised, the CCM attack machinery goes into full gear. They have attacked me on matters in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The Concerned Citizens Movement thrives on misleading the Nevisian public rather than dealing with the issues that affect the livelihoods of the people of Nevis. They have decided to launch a smear campaign against myself and all who oppose them. The records would show that I have not been involved in any wrongdoing in the USVI or anywhere else. Not I, nor anyone who worked under my leadership were involved in any wrongdoing. Returning to Nevis in 2003 was my personal choice. My father wanted me to be by his side when he was ill, and I gladly returned to Nevis to be with him. It was because of my transparency, trustworthiness, and accountability that the governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands reached out to me and asked me to return to the USVI to work in his administration. I have a strong moral and ethical upbringing instilled in me by my parents, and I challenge anyone to prove otherwise. There was a full-blown investigation in the USVI, and that is how a government should work. That is all that we're asking for in the Brand situation, an investigation into the matters regarding the secret deals. NRP and the people of Nevis have found Mark Brantley and his team guilty of all counts with regards to governance, the economy, and society. Failing to deliver on these areas warrant them being removed from government. Your NRP remains committed to good governance, building our economy, and protecting the vulnerable among us. The NRP is committed to ensuring that all negotiations take place to ensure that the people of Nevis can receive their fair share of all revenues that are appropriated to them by the necessary means through parliamentary procedures. The NRP remains committed to ensure that our economy can be developed based on trust and understanding from investors abroad who are seeking a reputable destination to invest their dollars. The NRP remains committed to ensure that our decisions are based on the best interests of the people of Nevis, and to ensure that all of the people of Nevis would benefit from the decisions of their government rather than a single few. This is a time for the people of Nevis to take heed and recognize that the upcoming federal elections due on August 5th is one of significance, major significance, and we should all take the necessary steps to ensure that Nevis has proper representation and is put back on a path to peace, progress, and prosperity. I thank you.
Thank you, Party Leader. It's 6 minutes after 9, and there you've had it, viewers and listeners. An address from the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, live on Your Voice with the NRP. We'll take a break, give you a moment to contemplate on her address, and then we'll be right back with Your Voice with the NRP.
Your voice, your voice, your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
And we're back with Your Voice with the NRP for Monday, July 18th, 2022. July 18th is indeed a historic day. In fact, our magic number for tonight will be 18. Of course, on July 18th, the great South African leader and world leader Nelson Madiba Mandela was born 104 years ago. Could Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge be the Mandela the Federation needs after the past troubling months of 2022. So general elections will be held in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis on Friday, August 5th. That was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris in an address, or rather at a public rally in Tabernacle last night. This means that we've got 18 days before polling day. Tonight, you heard the leader say that the CCM has been failed leadership, and we want you to provide us with no fewer than 18 reasons why Nevisians should rid themselves of the failed three: Brantley, Evelyn, and Jeffers. And of course, one of their number, Spencer Brand, still occupies the front pages. It says Brand contacted authorities on project as minister. We'll explore this topic as well. It's been on the front burner for weeks. The CCM would like it to go away. It won't. And with elections approaching, there's hope on the horizon. We'll hear plans of the NRP to make Nevis nice again. So we've got another 40 odd minutes. We've run out of a little time tonight. Couldn't be helped. And so we've got many issues to discuss. We know that the electorate is elated, that the tension is off. We know we'll go to the polls. It's going to be Judgment Day. And so we're going to ask you to call and give us no fewer than 18 reasons why Nevisians should see the back of Brantley, Evelyn, and Jeffers. Dr. Daniel, welcome. I believe you may have some greetings off the top as usual.
Absolutely, yes. I went straight into the address because I recognize that we started a bit late. But of course, I would like to say hello to all who are listening and my constituents in Nevis 11, which comprises St. Thomas's and St. James parishes, my family near and abroad. And I would tell you that I think my family has grown exponentially as I go back and forth canvassing and I encounter people and I listen to all of the stories that they have to share, whether it's from my father's perspective or my mother's perspective. There's always an additional family. I cannot recall one day that I have gone canvassing and have not emerge without a new family member. And so I think at the end of the day, when we look at Nevis is really a small island, and so many of us are connected and related. And while we enjoy that camaraderie and that relationship amongst each other, we recognize that as a small island and limited opportunities as far as educational advancement, we must open our doors and embrace our brothers and sisters from across the Caribbean who can come and complement what we have here. And I think it's important for us to recognize that diversity is important in building any economy, in building any community, and we should recognize that we should be able to work together in harmony for the advancement of our island, for our country. And what we have been seeing, unfortunately, under this current CCM administration is where every effort that is made to harmonize and unify our island and the residents herein, we recognize that there is an equal attempt by the CCM to divide and create discomfort and disunity. And we in the NRP, we would have been in government, from the early 80s. And it is interesting. One of the stories that I heard during canvassing was someone who said, they remember when they came to Nevis, how nice Nevis was. And, they said, well, Nevis is not so nice now. But they were strong CCM supporters. And the question was asked, well, when you came to Nevis, who was in government? And I said, Sim Daniel, NRP. And, he is gone now. And I said, well, Sim Daniel was in government, that was NRP. It is based on the philosophy of NRP, why we can embrace our brothers and sisters and why we live in harmony compared to where we are now under CCM, where we are seeing the attempt, a very, very, very obvious attempt to divide at every opportunity. And we're saying from NRP, when you look at what NRP would have done with regards to building our island, we would recognize that from all across the Caribbean, persons were able to contribute. And you could speak to whether it's Guyanese, Dominicans, or Santo Domingans, etc. Don't want to leave out any. Those people could tell you a story about how they would have contributed. And so a lot of them right now are really angry that they're put in a position where they feel like they are against the locals. And we're saying under NRP, this would not be the position. This is not what NRP stands for. We stand for inclusivity. And we can see, even if you just look at the candidates that would be contesting, we have male, we have females, and we recognize that it's not just about one perspective. You have to try in every possible way to include as many as you can to get a much better solution to any problem that you may be trying to solve. And so I would just want to say we are at this point in time looking at the way to go forward, and how best we can do that is by being inclusive, embracing as many different perspectives as we can, and really try our best to make sure that Nevis can be the Nevis that we once knew, when we had employment opportunities in abundance. So there was not that drastic competition where people felt that they were, fighting and competing against each other. And so these are the things that NRP would want to ensure from the federal level with regards to policies and programs that we, would put in place. These would be necessary to ensure that Nevis can be put back on a path to prosperity.
14 minutes past 9, which means we've got 46 minutes to go. This is your show, Your Voice with the NRP, and we're opening the lines from the get-go. When you call, make your point, but also give us one reason why Nevis and Nevisians should use August 5th, it's a Friday, to rid themselves of an administration, the 3 members, MPs, who came to us on April 16th and told us they had lost their way, they had failed. Call us 469-1616, 469-1700. Dr. Daniel Hodge, I'm sure you listened and watched last night, as all of us did. Of course, the House was dissolved on May the 10th, clearing the way for an election in St. Kitts and Nevis within 90 days. The announcement came on day number 68. So now it's no longer a marathon, it's a sprint. I'm sure you're relieved.
Well, relieved, and this is something that has been put on the table, tossed about with regards to the uncertainty of when elections would occur. And these are some of the things that would have been looked at with regards to, electoral reform and trying to level the playing field as much as possible. And so it is a relief, because when you're in opposition, sometimes you feel like you're preparing for a sprint, but then you're actually running a long distance race. And so it is a bit more challenging when you're in opposition. It is not as easy for you to calculate and plan and to strategize your approach. And so now that we know the election is August 5th, we know definitely this is a home stretch, and we will just want to ensure, we in the NRP, we have been working, and we just want to make sure that our supporters, those who would want to see, good governance brought to Nevis again. Those who would want to know that you have representatives who really look out for the best interests of the people of Nevis, and who would not sit 7 years in Parliament and not do the one thing that is necessary to ensure that the people of Nevis are not in the position that we're in right now. Because we have seen where Nevis has gone from a place of self-reliance and sustaining itself and being able to pay its civil servants. We are now at the mercy of the federal government. And this is definitely not what the people of Nevis would want to look forward to. And so...
Hold it right there for a minute, Party Leader. We've got our first caller in what I believe will be a busy evening. Welcome, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Hi, good night, Mr. Manners.
Hi, good night.
You.
Uh-huh.
I'd just like to say good luck and best wishes to Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. I've been looking at her recently on a lot of things that she's been saying on a number of radio shows, and she's been fantastic. I just wish her the best on the upcoming election. I hope that the people of Nevis see and understand what is going on our island and under this present CCM administration. I pray that they do the right thing and do the just thing, because voting is very serious. We're in very serious times, and I just hope that they do what is needed to be done to make our country go forward in a visionary manner. So all the best, Dr. Hodge, and the best for your brilliant team that you have organized. And I wish you guys the absolute best, because we want a better Nevis.
Thank you very much. Thank you for gracing us with your call. Dr. Daniel Hodge, you know, you have your point to complete, but the caller touched on something very important. Every radio, television show, commentators, analysts are saying this is the most important election in our island's history. But yet on our island, you hear Nevision saying they're not voting a federal election, they're not dab their hand. Take a moment to impress on our country why we're at the crossroads, where our country has run off the rails, and we need to put it back on track.
Well, Mr. Manners, we are actually facing a federal election at this time because the unity government, it was intended to really be the symbol of what a true unity can be, to include as many as possible. But what we have seen is, based on the representatives that we would have elected, we have seen where there is not the level of competence with regards to being able to negotiate, being able to collaborate, to ensure that we can accomplish what we need. And so we are here now facing a federal election because our representatives did not make a cabinet submission on the one issue that they campaigned so heavily about. But we would have said that the CCM is really a party that sets out to mislead and deceive the people of Nevis. And I cannot, blame the people of Nevis for believing the promises that were made.
Hold it there. We've got another caller on the line. I told you it's going to be a busy evening. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Terry, what we think it's a Nevis in. I'm talking about Nevis. Dr. Simeon Daniel came around with some copper and drum and take all the Nevis money and went to England. Said he gonna bring back secession, all cash. Up to yet, we not gonna all cash. Well, I put in me $6 in the drum when he came on. I was living in Holgroad. And let me tell you something. Please give me back me $6 with interest, because I wanna bring back no secession, all cash. We are petty cash right now. And Sim Daniel got all kind of portion of land. Down Simmons down Clegot, Thorn Hill, all over the place. All over the place. And them that talk about people must resign and all kind of thing. Why your daughter don't go and resign and tell us how much money We give them carrier England. Huh? I don't think them think they kind of wrong. She says on all costs. Well, what she come back for? To get land? She want land. I want to get my money.
Thank you, caller. We hear you. Dr. Daniel, you want to respond?
Well, I would say my good father, may his soul rest in peace. He went to England to bring back the opportunity for the people of Nevis to gain secession, and indeed he did provide clause 113 in the Constitution, which still remains to today. And so if it is that at the point in time when the referendum was taken to achieve secession, if that was not the will of the people of Nevis, he would have done what he set out to do. And what I would say is that when we hear comments like what has been made just now, you would ask, the background of these comments, so to speak, because everyone would understand and know that Nevis prospered under the Nevis Reformation Party, and where we are today is really in a situation where our country, our island, is regressing. We are going backwards. And during the time when NRP was in government, when Simeon Daniel was the premier of Nevis, we saw advances in Nevis because his interest was in looking out for the benefit of the people of Nevis, not just a tiny few. In fact, there was a quote that he would have made regarding what true development really stands for. And to the extent that we look backwards rather than looking forwards and where we would want to go, this is something that we really must take in stride and understand. Not everyone is going to be happy with every decision. Not everyone is going to be happy about every politician. But I think once you have certain principles upon which you would want to advance the country and move the country forward, then we must look in the best interest of the country overall rather than individual situations.
Okay, I thought we had a caller there, but we've lost that caller. Everybody knows that your father's legacy is assured. He underpinned our banking system, as Alexander Hamilton did for the great United States. Our caller is back. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Good evening, Mr. Manas.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Mrs.
Party leader.
Now,
Good evening.
bear with me because they wouldn't believe I'm here. Baby in a toothache.
Oh, okay. Hope it gets better.
But I had to call in. Lord, help me here tonight. Sorry. Who don't know who I am? I think I will tell you all who I am right here and there. I am Hilarina Rovina Liver. That lady talking about Sim went around with the drum and she won back $6. Sweetheart, you don't want some dialysis machine in Nevis? You don't want healthcare to better? Why not get to the foot of this present premier? That same one, Simeon Daniel, I think, give him a scholarship. He was working away from, I am away from my radio now.
Okay. You can turn it down if possibly, if you're close enough.
I'm all in the living room. I'm in the right. Rasta, turn down the radio for me, please. She don't want these health care. She don't want the geothermal. She don't want the hotel. That building, those buildings that are over at Barnaby, it's not an eyesore over there. Nivision is nice, because some other country, they will go right in them and live. And nobody could have put them out. It's our money. So, Miss Lady, you leave Simeon Daniel with his soul, the God with his soul. And Simeon Daniel have done a lot. He gave you, as your daughter says, right? A government, an island government. So when they went to sink it and make a mess, they've been fired, And God forbid that I work for myself and nobody could fire me really. But if I'm fired, I'm going to come in my house, lap me tail and pray and bawl. If I may speak some dialect here. Wait a minute. You hear me?
Well,
So, Mrs. Daniel, you go and do your best. Rohan and Mrs.
Bartlett.
In Brown Hills, go do your best. The other trees that have been fired, let them go rest their soul. These people have this God to say them come back but walking around and giving out stuff. God, you know, I thank you that I was coming from my mom when I coming down and see them going up, watching me smiling. You know, the same road over in the back way here where I live, it's terrible. Right? We don't want water. We don't want that $25 to come off our water. And it's not $25 a month. It's $25 for that month, and if you don't pay for that month, the other month that's 50, the other month that's 75, the other month that's 100. So, darling, that's $6 you're bargaining for. I pray to God you get back the $6 or give some child maybe, help someone. Because you know what is happening right now is everybody like me. How much child you just give a candy or something else help? You know, I must say months, I haven't talked and everybody knows. And I sell my teeth in a little better tonight. But girl, you're on a run. May God follow you and continue to bless you all. And you go think it, bring back things, and I know you all are bright people. Demand. You know, everybody wants share. Why they didn't stay in there? They had 7 years now. They should have continued and demand and say what they need. But all that money that's given to Nevis, I don't see nothing done with it. And people will say, oh, things I don't see. The Mundo track, it's not a grant. The park, where you always say, oh, look a nice grand park down there. It comes from the treasury, I come from whoever these people be. I thank them for it. It looks good. But it don't come from the treasury. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Premier, I know you're listening because you listen to everything. I need health care. One night I tell you about health care. You know what you incite me and tell me? If I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I'm a human. And God forbid that either me, I hope I wouldn't go there. God forbid that we don't need those machines. I stay in my house one night in Guyana, and you walk into a hospital with this sick guy, God forbid he passed away. I myself as a poor lady used to support that guy. And his mother can be a test to it and say it because I don't want to boast on it. Right? And you say to one, bring more machine here and make it better. Before you do, where those machines that was up there that the NRP had get, they're still alive or they rotten already? You find the university over there for health. They sensible people. They wasn't going to give some money for those same machines, and then they find it's not good. You say you was going to bring in nurses and bring in this and bring in that. Young man, whine and come again. Go rest yourself. You've been fired. Go and go sit down. Go rest yourself. God bless you, sweetheart, and all the others that are going down with you. Because you are going down. You all are going down. God bless.
Thank you very much. The day of accountability is fast approaching. Dr. Daniel Hodge, you made reference in your live address to your record in the Virgin Islands. With the CCM having no response to what people are now calling Brandgate, the Spencer Brand affair, they've tried to turn nasty and try to tarnish your name and your image. I saw the former governor, John DeYoung, I hope I've got it correct, giving you a big endorsement today. Hold your thought because we've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hillary,
This is for Hillary. Hillary, if it's not CCM, there is nobody else. If Nevis want progress, it's CCM. CCM all the way. Good night.
Thank you, caller. So you wanted to respond. We've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Good evening, Mr. Manas. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, good evening. Could you lift your voice a bit, please?
Okay, this a little better?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. I listened with disgust with someone who tried to disparage the name of Dr. Simeon Daniel and also try to do the same to Janice. It is clear that this individual is a supporter of the Concerned Citizens Movement, and it is my belief that that individual is a supporter of Mark Brantley. Now, I want to share with her and the listening public what Mark Brantley said about Simeon Daniel. Bear with me as I quote. He has touched every facet of Nevision's life and shaped and inspired generations of Nevisians. I, for one, meaning him, Mark Brantley, would not be who I am today were it not for the inspiration of Dr. Simeon Daniel. He was as a father to me, and I was as a son to him. That is fundamental. That Mark is saying to the world that Simeon Daniel took him as his own child, and he recognized Simeon Daniel as his own father. And so when that individual tried to disparage Dr. Daniel's name, I wonder what Mark Brantley feels, how he feels. But knowing the character of the man, he might feel nowhere. Let's go a little further. Speaking of Dr. Daniel, he said, he was an architect in every sense of modern Nevis and gave Nevisians an island and an ethos to be proud of. He instilled in us a national pride and patriotism to our beloved homeland, which shall endure forever. Whether it was the Sixth Form College, the Nevis Island Administration, the Nevis Island Assembly, the Office of the Premier, the advancement in substantial internal self-government, insisting Clause 113 in the Constitution, four-season resort, Mount Nevis Hotel, the Bank of Nevis, the Nevis Reformation Party, hallelujah, the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, dramatic improvement in water and infrastructure for the island, university degrees for Nevisians teachers from Miami University. Dr. Daniel touched the lives of us all. While his public advancement or achievements are well known, his private help to so many families in need is no less legendary. For those who have benefited from his generosity and kindness, so selfless was Dr. Daniel that he always and without a murmur put the welfare of others above their own. And so when you hear, this is what Mark Brantley said about this great man. And what he said about the great man is true. And so it's painful to sit down and listen to somebody who's, I would not describe them the way Solomon described him in the scripture, to try and drag this man's name down into the ground. It is hurtful. But you know what, Steve? It is true to form of the man who they follow. That is what he does. He's trying to degrade, belittle, and dirty the reputation of everybody who does not support him. And so no wonder his supporters do the very same thing, because it's what he taught them. It's what he strives on. And so they are doing what pleases him. And so while it comes from her mouth, it is the sentiment of the leader that they follow. It is a portrait of the character of the man that they follow. And we should not expect anything better, because Mark is the worst thing that ever happened to us politically. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. Jesus said that there are those who are going to travel land and sea to make one disciple. And then when they make that one disciple, they turn that one disciple into 7 times the children of the devil as they are. Bottom line is, those who are following Mark Brantley are worse than him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On this show, we have and we intend to be very tolerant of all shades of public opinion. And I must say, sitting night after night across from Dr. Daniel Hodge, what we've seen is her temperament, her compassion. She says that Janice cares. She doesn't do rah-rah. And that is what exactly Nevis needs at this point. As I said at the top of the show, I see Mandela-like qualities in her. And I think, as we all know, that she is the first political leader of a major political party in St. Kitts. I hear parties in St. Kitts, such as the PLP, saying that they're running 2 female candidates, forgetting that we have 2 as well. And you're inspiring people across this nation with your calm demeanor. And we're not dispensing anybody in this country. We're reaching out to everybody.
Well, you know, getting involved in politics, a number of persons would have asked, knowing the person that I am, if I'm sure I want to get involved in politics. And the truth of the matter is that we have come to know and think of politics as something that is dirty, something that is nasty, is something that is, you know, male-dominated. And the truth of the matter is, when we recognize that politics is really about helping others to have better lives and to provide the necessary support so that people can enjoy a better standard of living, looking at and being empathetic with others and being able to share their pain and their concerns, that is really what politics ought to be about. It should not be about name calling and you know, there's a quote that I used to like, and I still like it. You know, you don't have to out somebody else's candle to let yours shine. Something along those lines. And what we in NRP have been saying is that the approach that the CCM party has to governance and you know, running the country is a totally different approach than the one that NRP has. And the NRP approach has been tested and it has been proven, and we can still see what the NRP would have contributed to Nevis in a significant way with regards to, for example, the Four Seasons Hotel that has been here for decades, still providing employment opportunities, still stimulating our economy. We cannot say that you see that level of commitment to help others, because it's really about creating job opportunities and helping people to have a payday, so to speak. And when you're looking at how a country is being governed, and when you see you know, just a tiny few making all of the money and the masses struggling, you know that that country is not being governed properly. And when you look at a minister, for example, and I have said over and over again, I am not looking at the brand situation in a personal way. I am looking at it as a minister of government who goes into government with, let's say, X dollars, and on leaving government you are $120 million richer, and the people that you're representing have not seen any improvement in their standard of living. Something is wrong. And so in my situation, and the smear campaign that they are attempting to put out there for the people of Nevis to believe. But the number of persons who would have called me and said, you know, they're trying something, but everybody know you for who you are, etc. And so, in my situation, an investigation was done. It was completed. And I would use this analogy because some people would not understand. Imagine having a primary school, principal, and your teachers from grade 1 to grade 6. An investigation is conducted on the school. And so you're part of the school, and so you're included in the investigation. Now, if at the end of the day, you have persons who are teaching grade 2, teaching grade 4, and the principal, they have been found guilty of wrongdoing. But if I am in teaching grade 3, and my class, no one in my class, I myself have not been found guilty of any wrongdoing, then how do you now come and say, provide the answer? Yes, you're investigating an entire institution. And so if you have to investigate the CCM government, and there may be some who are part of that government, they're not involved in any wrongdoing. So now you're going to come and accuse them of being wrong. And so I was quite pleased when the governor did an endorsement on my behalf, because of the whole school that I spoke about and those who were convicted of wrongdoing. When the new administration was formed, the governor reached out to me. Our program is struggling. We need you to come back and fix this program for us. And why did they do that? Because when all was said and done, Janice Daniel Hart was found to be trustworthy, transparent in all dealings, and accountable for everything that passed through her program. And that is why I could have gone back and worked in that same institution. And so the investigation was done. The matter was settled. All we're asking for here, in this government, where accountability and transparency doesn't seem to mean anything, we are saying that conduct the investigation. And if at the end of the day, the Honorable Spencer Van would have made his declarations that he came into government with X amount of dollars, and while in government he now has $120 million worth of shares, you make your declaration and the investigation is done and there is no wrongdoing, that is fine. But we have an Integrity in Public Life Commission established to investigate matters such as these, and when a request is made, the commission said, we do not have the authority to investigate certain matters. But we can remember the pomp and circumstance about having our Integrity in Public Life Commission established, not knowing that all of the teeth were removed, as my good colleague Dr. Bartlett would say, were removed and really has nothing to enforce. And so that is what we're saying. And so if the CCM wants to raise questions about my integrity, well, by all means, do so. I have actually asked my lawyers to look into the matter because they very well know. And Honorable Mark Brantley knows that when I came to Nevis, I came to be with my father. My father wanted me to be close to him during his period of illness. And that is why I came to Nevis. And he knows that. And he knows that there was no wrongdoing on my behalf. But if this is the way that they choose to contest the election, to campaign and run a smear campaign, then it just speaks to what they really want to present to the people of Nevis. And we know them to be people who mislead people. They deceive people into thinking one thing. But at the end of the day, when the attorneys would have looked at the matter, I hope that those who are to be investigated would not have an issue with that problem.
Well, we hope they would shine the same light of scrutiny on this matter. You mentioned the 120 million, and that was for 220 shares. But we are reminded that in the first instance, the application was for 1,224 shares, which would equate to US $214 million. We were also told that all of this happened before December 17th, 2017, when the good gentleman entered public office. But hear what LeSean Dixon of The Observer, under the article, Brand did contact authorities on project as minister. I think we've got another caller, so I'll pause there. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with the NRP.
Mr. Manners,
Hi, good evening.
it was not too long ago. An investigation was done. A case was tried in relation to 4 individuals that set up a company here on the island of Nevis. A company that carries something to do with Fidelity, whatever the name of it was. In that case, in those hearing, 2 persons in the United States went to jail. One from another neighboring island, who we are told was a close friend to the bragging man in Nevis, suffered tremendously. Now, the man from Nevis indicated that he was a director in that same company. The United States court, I'm told, said that that company was set up to defraud people out of their money. Should we go around and say that he is guilty of crime? He is guilty of defrauding clients out of their money? Because his own word was that he was a part of the leadership or the directorship of this country. He said he played a minimal role. But whether it was a minimal role or a large role, he played a role. The company was cited. People were punished. Should we go around and say that you two are guilty by association or involving what went on? And so when he has people or he goes around and trying to smear people's name, he needs to look within himself. It was a court here on the island of Nevis said, listen, we don't know what side you're on. You as the Minister of Government, you representing both sides of an argument on the island, a matter that are affecting the lives of the people. So which side are you on? And so when they're talking about corruption, you don't have to look for how to say it. Just look at who at the top of the chart. And you see corruption running from top to bottom. The Spencer Brand issue, again, unable to accept the truth. The evidence is there that Mr. Brand made an application signed by him after he was a Minister of Government. And so to try to hide the fact that he did what he did before he became a Minister of Government, it is absolutely dishonest. But the thing is, we should not expect 1 ounce of honesty that comes out of the concerned citizens movement. Because if the stream is bad and dirty at the head, the filth is going to go right down to the tail. Nobody better than the other. And I'm saying to the people of Nevis, you have seen the track record of the Nevis Reformation Party. You have seen the track record of the concerned citizens movement. They say judge them on the record. We say judges on a record. When we say run judges on a record, they say performance did not matter. All of a sudden now they find out that performance matter. Yes, let us judge them on their performance and send them home. The last thing I'm going to say, Steve, is this. I hear people criticizing Janice about speaking about our father and using our father's legacy. Mark Brantley came into government running on whose legacy? Let us do this one for Malcolm. He ran several elections on whose legacy? Malcolm Gishard. And right now he's running an election. And whose name he's calling? It's Dr. Daniel, because Dr. Daniel gave an endorsement of him. So it is okay for him to use Malcolm's name. It is okay for him to be using Dr. Daniel's name. But Janice Daniel, who is the leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, And he's speaking about the former leader of the Nevis Reformation Party and what the Nevis Reformation Party would have done under his leadership. And that we are willing and are continuing on that particular legacy. All of a sudden it becomes a problem.
Wrap it up, caller, please. We're
I'm
running.
going to say, lady, don't be afraid to talk the performance of your father, our first premier. Don't be afraid of doing it. He was your father, and he is indeed the architect of modern Nevis. And if Mark could use his name, sure too, you can use it. Thank you.
Thank you. One name you certainly won't hear him use is that of the late Van Samry. We've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. We've lost that caller. I was referring to the article by LaShawn Dixon, and I'll just share the first paragraph. Contrary to the belief, understanding, or impression given that since becoming a minister, Spencer Brand has not had any relevant or significant contact with authorities on his citizenship by investment project, it has been determined that there has been meaningful correspondence between him as a minister and authorities regarding the venture. And it goes on to talk about letters dated March 15, 2019, and of course another letter dated January 2021. This article has given the lie to what the minister came and told us when he addressed the media.
Well, you see, the situation that is happening right now in CCM and is trickling out to the community is that what is wrong is practiced so commonly that you begin to question what is really wrong or right. And someone like myself on the outside, understanding what governance is about, what transparency and accountability is about, it is clear as day that something has to be wrong with a sitting minister of government receiving $120 million worth of shares. And I sometimes say it may be difficult for some persons to grasp, but if you have shares in TDC or in the Bank of Nevis or wherever you may have shares, you can take your share certificate and leverage it to receive cash. And so having an asset worth $120 million, that ought to have been declared as an asset of a sitting minister. And if the Integrity in Public Life Commission investigated the matter and said this is fine, this is acceptable, we would have an issue with that, because you cannot enrich yourself, your person, as a sitting minister. And so this is where we are saying the legislation was put in place, but the legislation really is not doing what it was supposed to do. As they say, it's not fit for purpose. Because here you have a sitting minister, and I may say, we are aware of this because of the fallout of the Team Unity government, so to speak. And so the question must be asked, how many others would have benefited from their position in government? And I know there are a number of situations that we can look at. I am quite pleased to say that I have worked, I have prepared myself for where I am today. And so my getting involved in government is not for any self-fulfilling purposes. I own my own home, I own my own vehicle, my children are well taken care of, and so it's a matter of recognizing what Nevis was before and the potential that Nevis has, and at the hand of the CCM government that is not looking out for the development of Nevis and the benefit of Nevis, seeing so many people struggling, looking at the high taxation during the pandemic when people are out of work, looking at the lack of social programs to help look after struggling mothers, etc., to look at the fact that you had a laptop program to help the students in school and that was abandoned. Looking at all of the measures that would have been put in place by the NRP to help the struggling families, and on the CCM government, it's no big issue to put a $25 increase on your water bill. It's no big issue that your surcharge is higher than your electricity bill. It's no big issue that we've been to St. Kitts for 7 long years, and what we're seeing now is one minister of government at least being enriched by $120 million, and we still do not have the necessary legislation because a cabinet submission was required in order for the Honorable Spencer Brand to receive the shares. Where was the cabinet submission for Nevis's fair share that was in the Charlestown Accord? And so you must recognize that the priority of the CCM government is one of being self-serving, is one of self-interest, and it has nothing to do with our country motto of country above self. And that is the distinction between the NRP and the CCM. NRP looks out for the people, wants to make life better for the people, as opposed to the CCM that is looking out for one or two individuals and ministers as well.
Ricardo Keynes, who is chairperson of the Integrity Commission on Nevis, says that he hopes the Nevis Island administration will revisit the ordinance and allow for a wholesale modernization of the ordinance to give the people of Nevis the confidence that the Commission is achieving its objectives by ensuring public officials comply with the ordinance. It is clear the Mark Brantley administration gave us a paper tiger. We've got 2 minutes. The temperature, the mercury is rising in the political thermometer as we move towards August 5th. What can we expect in the coming days as the NRP ramps up its campaign?
Well, the timing of the election on August 5th, it is at the heels of the Culturama festivities, and so as far as public meetings, etc., are concerned, it would be a bit of a challenge to compete with the Culturama activities. We would not want to deprive the people of Nevis from enjoying their culture, something that they have come accustomed to. But I can assure you that the members of the NRP, we will be out in our numbers, getting the message out to the people of Nevis that this federal election is a very important one. It is important because Nevis is now fully reliant on what happens at the federal cabinet with regards to salary increases, with regards to social programs, with regards to how we are going to deal with our high electricity bills, etc. And so this election, this federal election, is like none ever before. And we must impress upon the people and have them understand that the vote is necessary. The vote is necessary to ensure that you can have the representation. We do not want to go back and have to be again at the mercies of the federal government with regards to our quote-unquote fair share and all that the people of Nevis deserve. And so we're saying from the NRP, we have one objective, and our objective is to look after the affairs of the people of Nevis. And if we're not afforded that opportunity, we cannot imagine what another 5 years on the CCM government would be like. We can assure you that on the NRP, our intention is always to ensure that the people of Nevis have a better standard of living, ensure that projects are completed. On the NRP, we're not going to abandon projects that would have been started that would benefit the people of Nevis. And so, in a nutshell, when we look at governance and we look at the issues with regards to accountability, the $400 million that was provided, and we cannot give an account or have projects completed. When we look at during the pandemic, the hospital is still incomplete. the focus, as we can see, is one of more cosmetic. We can see the Malcolm Gishard Park, and we're very happy that it was constructed to, in honor of Malcolm Gishard. But we must look at the number of persons who are struggling with health issues, and the hospital has not been a priority. And so we are saying, if we really want to see Nevis advancing, if we really want to build trust in the investors who are out there, and we want to see them to come back to Nevis and invest in Nevis, then NRP is the party that can ensure performance matters, and we must make Nevis nice again. We require a new direction. Nevis must take a new direction so that the youths of today can have employment opportunities, the youths of today can have a brighter future, and be proud about Nevis as their home.
Nevis needs a Daniel now more than ever, and with her we need a Bartlett and an Isles. That's been our show for Monday, July 18th. You've been listening to Your Voice with the NRP. Good night.
Your voice, your voice, your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.